Ossican's In the Pocket is David Ossican's In the Pocket is sponsored by the School of Rock Main Line and Kroger Percussion. I'd like to thank the School of Rock Main Line, located at 511 Old Lancaster Road in Berwyn. You can visit their website at schoolofrock.com. Ask for Dave Marsh or Rick Allison. I'd like to thank Kroger Percussion at krogerpercussion.com. At a /ITP, and it'll bring you to a website. You'll get a 5% discount. Call Eric Metz at 215-669-8588. That's KrogerPercussion.com.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the David Ossican In the Pocket podcast. And I'm really thrilled about today. I'm super excited. Because we got a wonderful guest, and I have a great co-host this week. My buddy Freddie B is joining me. Hi, Fred.
Hey. Hello.
Hey, man. And this is our guest today was suggested to me by Fred because because I'm a big fan of Eric Johnson.
Oh my.
And he's a monster Philly drummer, and he does a lot of stuff all over the place. And when you look him up and you watch his videos and you see why, and his reputation is just fantastic. And so hey, welcome aboard, Eric. It's great to have you, buddy.
Thank you.
Yeah, cheers, man. Welcome to In the Pocket, man. It's cool.
Very
man. We're both big fans of your playing, and I remember that. I think the first time, and I don't know if we ever met before, but I was walking down Broad Street. Do you remember that day you were with a student? You were with a student, and I was walking down the street, and you went, "Hey," you introduced yourself to me, and I don't know, did we ever meet before then? Because we did, I don't remember, but. You came up and you were just so cool, and you were with this young cat that you were from the college, and we had a nice chat. And then I saw you play, and I was like, "Wow, man!" I mean, I heard your stuff obviously on recordings, but it's a different thing when you see somebody. So I remember meeting you there, and I was really nice, man.
I think I was with a great Philly drummer named Dylan Mulcahy that day.
Oh, yeah.
Who's Mercury's cousin.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And Dylan's a very dear friend of mine, a wonderful songwriter. And we're actually going to do a record of his here in my studio.
Nice.
I should have house before this, man. I didn't realize the screen was so wide.
Well, that's all right. Listen, man, you're a working musician. And that's like, look, I don't have I have a little work station area in my home. I'm in my this is mostly my wife's office here. That's pretty cool. But there's like a little a Roland TD-17 drum kit over to my left here. And I got
right over here.
Drives are nuts because there's actually a Slingerland 1943 26-inch Slingerland bass drum I'm looking at, and then there's a cocktail kit over here, and then to my right, I get relegated to this little room that is my room where I have a kit set up, and I have a Roland X8P that I use as my interface in Pro Tools, and I do my whole thing. Right. But we have, and it's a freaking mess in there, man. But she won't walk in, so she flips out. She's like, "Oh my God, I can't. You can do," but it's organized chaos for some reason. I like it like that, So it's cool.
Yeah,
you're staying busy.
Yeah, thankfully. After about 15 months during COVID, where I lost all my gigs, I'm sure we all did. I mean, I lost probably 125 gigs in the course of a week. Like the third week of March, it was just like an onslaught of emails. Like, this whole calendar's gone. This whole calendar's gone.
I remember.
It was okay though. I mean, to tell you the truth, I didn't really do a whole lot musically over my 15 months of COVID. I kind of I don't know. I kind of went into a bit of a tailspin and sort of regathered myself. And when things started to come back, I got really fired up about music again. And luckily,
Right on.
staying busy and
Wow. Isn't it funny though? You said you got re-fired up again about music again. Because I suffer from a little bit of let's be clear, mental illness. And you say I do. I get depressed sometimes. It's like not a and like it's so common and
Sure.
more people talk about it. But it took a long time for me to figure it out. But but now that I know what's going on and I know what's happening, the I over the E. My feelings are not fact. I don't want to get into therapy and stuff like that, but I know what it's like, and sometimes I gotta like just pull myself away from it, and then it come back and it's fresh again. It feels good. I mean, I got at the same thing like Freddie. Same thing probably happened. We all
sure.
lost gigs. I mean, I've been, you probably know. I mean, I've been playing drums with the Hooters for 42 years. And 40th, we were supposed to do a 40th anniversary tour 2 years ago, and every year, these last couple of years, it's getting canceled. Like your stuff getting canceled, and that wears on your brain. And I had to finally figure out a way to cope with all that kind of stuff because every day it was like bad news.
Yep.
And you got to pull yourself together. I know Freddie was doing a lot of, teaching and
I was
reading and practicing. Well,
I was
listen,
practicing. What a concept! Oh my God!
One thing that I've been really impressed by. I was watching your videos. One in particular that really knocked me out, where you were playing along. You were talking about playing along with a sequencer, and you talked about the people recording with a click track. Back, it's all practice with a click. But then now technology allows us to play with, samples or, a loop. You're talking about playing with a loop, and it's brilliant. You put up the video and you're playing to the loop, and you fire it up, man. You do some things that are really like gaddish, Yeah, really, really beautiful, man. And you have that ability to you subdivide and you multiply in your head through the music, which is pretty cool, man. That was never my forte doing that. I was always lock it down and go that, but you were able to, I love the way you play over the bar and do things like that. You do beautiful stuff, man. And that loop is just knocked me out. Did you see that, Fred? The video we had?
I'll have to check it out. I've seen it live, though.
Yeah. Well, you play with our friend Kevin Hansen, which is a brilliant player, and he does a lot of work. I mean, that guy is like a fabulous, player, and then he's also a great reader. He's a schooled cat, but he's one of these guys that nothing's ever sterile. That's what's really beautiful about your playing and his playing, that and you guys play in a band together, great minds think alike, and you got together and you make some beautiful music and now I'm probably going to go all over the place because I'm a bit ADD. And,
I was just going to say real quick, we can't forget our good friend, Mr. Jim Steger, who's the third piece of the puzzle.
Bass player. And is that the Fractals?
Yes, and Hufflepuff.
You're right, and Hufflepuff. You mean so that three guys in that band also went on to do the Fractals? Wow. See, when that whole thing, like, how I never knew Hufflepuff was a Philly band. I lived in Southern California for 20 years.
Right.
And when you guys started happening, I found out, I dug your band from afar. I was living in Southern California. Right. And then I think I came out here and somebody told me, they're from Philadelphia. But that was a nice, all right, Can you tell me a little bit about that thing with Hufflepuff?
I'll tell you the brief story of how it all happened. So I knew Jim Stager, the bass player, in college, and I also knew Craig, the singer. Craig and I were in a horrific ensemble. It was just the worst ensemble together in college. But in my freshman year of college, I was in Larry McKenna's art bop group.
Yeah.
And Jim was doing his very last class, and he was playing electric bass in that band. So I met him, and the first thing we did together was we went to see Living Color at the Owl's Nest or whatever it was called, like the place.
Yeah. Wow.
And
Corey, right? Corey Glover, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just hung with him not too long ago in Mexico.
Did you really?
Yeah. He came out. It was a nice surprise. We were playing. He played the night before we were playing, and he came out to the show, and he watched us play, and we hung out afterwards. And what a super guy, man! Cool guy. Yeah, cool guy.
But anyway, so I was playing some jazz, and then I played some wedding gigs with Jim, and then I met Kevin when Kevin moved here in 91 with Chuck Israels, who was Bill Evans's bass player in the 60s.
Yeah.
Chuck's like this uber genius musician, arranger. So he came here when Chuck was the artist in residence for a year. So I played some jazz trio gigs, one of which was with a great Philly bass player, Conrad Korsch, who's been with Rod
Stewart for years.
Yeah.
Kevin and I, the first time we met, we played a trio gig together. And he had just come to Philly. I said, well, let's get in the car, man. I'll take you for a tour of the town. So we got in the car, and I had the Royal Scam, Steely Dan. Like, dude, Dan, that's my shit. And so we were like singing harmonies together and driving. Instantly, like, my brother that I'd never met before.
Oh, that's great.
Love it.
That's awesome.
Then Kevin and Jim were playing with Craig. And then they said, hey, you should come do this gig with us at this place in Manayunk that I know you guys probably remember, Casa Mexicana.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
We were called Craig and the Eggs. Called Craig Elkins and Meat. And then we became Huffamoose. So we formed in March of 93. In May of 93, we put out an EP that we recorded direct to 2-track DAT tape. Tells you how long ago this was. And then in of 93, we did our indie record. By October the next year, we played Woodstock 94, and by October of 94, we were signed to Interscope. It was like less than a half.
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow.
And I just that's how I met you. We were texting about this earlier.
Yep.
I got invited to the warehouse, the studio,
Right.
where the famous Andy Newmark incident happened.
He tell you that story?
Yes, he listened to it.
Yeah,
so the guy that they were working with, I guess I was working with at Disc Makers, he invited me, working with on a project that is, Dean Sierra. He invited me down to your session.
Right.
And I walked in, and actually you were out in the room cutting a track, and the rest of the band was in the control room. And that's when I met you guys. You were like 19, 20 years old.
Wow. Wow, that is cool.
And I was like blown away. I was like, what the? How old? What?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Funny,
That's so cool.
That was the second record I ever did. The first record I ever did, I was 20. I played on Susan Warner's first record, and I just produced.
Okay.
I just produced her new EP. We did it right here. And I produced 2 records ago for her, too. It was like a New Orleans record.
We have something from, do we have something from that?
Yeah.
Hey, can we,
to this.
you finish your story? Because I think I'd like to play something from that.
Cool. So I played on her record when I was 20. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. It was at the old Morningstar Studios.
I remember that.
Oh, right on.
Cutting the tape. And I remember we came in the control room, and I had just met Glenn. I work with Glenn all the time now. Like, he hires me like his session cat.
Yeah.
But he's like, hey, do you hear the second beat here? Your hi-hat's a little early. Can we just go in and punch that? And I was like,
what?
Oh my God. So that's.
Yeah.
I knew at that point that I really needed to put myself under the microscope, because I heard one of the songs was called So Heavy. I was driving from a wedding gig when I was like 19 or 20. I guess I must have been 20. And I heard this tune on XPN, and the tempo picked up.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh God, please don't back announce this tune and tell them who I am, because I was. I started.
That's funny.
I started skipping classes for like 3 weeks at a time to practice with like old bop records and a metronome.
Well, well, listen, man. It's on that same topic of rushing and dragging. And did you ever work with a Russian dragon? Do you guys remember that little piece of equipment?
I do know about it. I've never encountered it in real life.
Joe Hardy in Memphis at Arden loved that Russian dragon. And that was a lesson for me years after I've been playing, but because he would talk about a bridge and want you to be back on the bridge and push certain things. But I did this Alice Cooper record in 1992, and I was working with the guy that was in a band called Gumball, Tom. But he did like Sonic Youth and all these punk like indie bands. And my friend John Aniela, I don't know if you ever worked with John, but he was the engineer. And they fired the drummer, and that's how I got the gig. I got fired, and I was in Philly, and I was on way home. I lived in Woodland Hills, and he called me up because can you swing by Track Studios, and can you swing by and cut a track for me? And I didn't know who I was going to work for, but it was Alice Cooper, which was like really cool. So I ended up doing this song called Lost in America. It was right? So but if you listen to it, so the producer comes to me and said like, I'm working on trying to keep my tempo and what you talked about, like playing in time and really just, what we do. And the producer said, listen, I want you to rush the ending. Like I want you to pick it up. I kind of didn't get it, but I was really kind of, oh no, okay, you know what I mean? Every little part of my body was like, I don't want to do this. Right. But he goes, I want you to really, okay, so you want me to sound bad, right? Is that what you want? So, I know what you're talking about, like, cause like you just feel like, oh my God. But I listen, now when I hear it, if I'm listening to it with somebody, I always tell them, I said, hey, listen, he told me to do that. I'm just trying to follow instructions, and it worked out good because I ended up doing the whole album. So I was only coming for a track, so I ended up doing the whole record. But I know what you're talking about with that. I on one hand, I'm going, okay, I can, follow instructions, and I'm going to end up getting a gig. But, you listen to something like I do a little bit of teaching, and you listen to like Charlie Watts out on like on what is the song? Honky Tonk Woman. It starts off at one, and it's like it goes like 8 beats. Yeah, it's something like it was crazy.
But it's gradual. It's gradual, and it's the energy.
Yeah,
it's the energy that
I'm telling you. Sometimes, Fred, if you it's transitions, but it's the Stones, so it's great. Anyway, listen, a Sergeant Werner
click track. You know what I mean? Those guys weren't using a click.
No. Hey, listen, I love that story about you doing that. Was that the Susan Werner thing that you did? The first one. Hey, Taylor, can we play? I can get used to this. Is that the one that we have from her? Can we hear that?
You walking on the sugar white sand, walking with a shell in your hand. You're in your happy place, and me looking at the sea and the sky, watching all my worries drift by. And I'm not gonna chase them, sitting on the beach in the sun. Nothing much done. I could get used to this. I could get used to this. I could get used to this all day long. And you sitting in a chair with a book.
Nice. Yeah.
Look how very
Yeah. I love the,
I mean,
the
that-
little swingy stuff on the hi-hat, going and then just the kick snare doing the holding it down.
Right. Yeah, and you play, and you and your facility is. I mean, you got like some stuff going on. When I was just talking about that video, and then you can simplify, which we all know what you just did was not easy.
Right,
You know what I mean? The
That's
groove
that's
was
simple.
great.
You gotta,
Hey,
like,
oh, listen, man.
order.
I got you. I might have told you about this, Fred, too. I was doing this, Eric Bazillion, and I don't know if he's released it yet, but I cut a bunch of tracks that he did, these covers of the Carpenters, and and Alexis Cunningham is singing, and I forget I forget the song, but one of the tracks was so back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, it was like, oh my God, and I've heard the song for years, and right now I'm forgetting the name of the song. It was one of the biggest songs they had, but it's like the groove, and that one was like, man, it was like focus, and just breathe.
Right.
Just talked about, like it's an art, it's an ability to pull that off is. It takes a lot. And, after a day of doing a session like that, you're like, man, I need a nap.
Yeah.
My
Right?
brain hurts.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Space is a place.
Yeah.
I love that about Lowell George. That was
Yeah.
one of his things,
Oh.
Space is the place. Did you ever
Sun Ra.
check, were you a fan of Little Feat at all? Did you?
Huge,
Check them
huge Richie Hayward fan in general.
There you go.
Yeah, he was our
Right.
guy too. Fred and I.
Yeah, man.
I got to know him a little bit, and we
Yes,
hung
you
out.
did.
Well,
I
was visiting-
remember that. I got a great story.
Yeah, right.
He was late to a gig because
That one. Oh, you can tell that one. He was
Yes.
with me.
he was with
Oh.
you because I was opening for
Yeah.
them
Wow.
Yeah,
at
Yeah.
Ripley,
yeah,
and
yeah.
he was late because he was down at Dobbs hanging out with you.
Yeah,
It was chicken legs. It wasn't Little Feet. It was after Lowell passed,
yeah,
but it was everybody but
right. That was Catfish
So bang.
Hodge. Hodge was.
yes, Hodge was
I
funny.
got to play with them
That's right.
when I lived in L.A. But I was visiting when I first went to L.A. in I think it was 78. I went for a visit, and I went to Richie no, it was 1980. And Richie said, if you ever come out here, come over to my house, which was like, oh, really? Yeah, man. So my friend loaned me her car. They were staying with loaned me her car. And I go to Richie Hayward's house, and I'm hanging out with Richie, and my car her car was stolen. I remember. I was like, oh, no.
Oh
But-
my goodness,
I said, Rich, what the hell?
that's
You know?
crazy. That's
Richie
crazy.
didn't steal it, but what a great drummer.
Great
And he,
drummer.
Rich used to kind of do these things. Well, I mean, that's why he drove Lowell a little bit nuts, because he would be a little bit all over the place. But the rhythms and the things he
His
played
feel.
were it's
Feel.
insane, insane. That's so cool that you love his playing, man. That's cool. Yeah.
You know, and I liked his stuff with Robert Plant too in the '80s, like little by little.
Yep.
He played those like these flam fills
Right.
for like a half an hour at a time, like
Yeah.
like a record, like blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Oh,
Joan arbitrating too. Didn't he play
Yeah.
on some of her stuff? Yeah.
Did.
Yo, I would be remiss if I didn't ask Eric. I want to talk to you about your first teacher.
Oh, Elaine Watts.
Yes.
Well, actually, my first teacher was
Oh,
wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was
Wow.
Was who?
Watts.
before Elaine. When I lived in Boston, I started taking lessons when I had just turned 6. And
Wow.
Oh.
great Boston blues drummer who played in the James Montgomery band.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
His name was Chuck Puro.
Oh, yeah.
And Chuck, man, he took me
Yeah.
on 6 years old. I didn't even
Wow.
have a music stand. We had one of those kitchen stools, and we would put a book
Wow.
on the thing.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. James,
And-
I knew James Montgomery.
Great band.
Yeah, well, his brother, I knew his brother, TJ, was good friends with them. And Bobby Chenard played with them for a long time.
Oh, right on. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Bobby played with them for a long time. And Danny DeGennaro played with him,
Wow.
his band, which was ridiculous. Wow. Wow, cool. So,
Small world.
Elaine, you mentioned Elaine.
Yeah, let's talk about Elaine for a minute.
He's
because
taught all great, you know, tell you,
That's what I'm.
great
That's what I'm
drummers.
getting
Andy
at.
Kravitz, Wolfie,
Wolf, yeah, Jerry
Yeah.
Brown.
Jerry Brown, Jim Harp.
Wow.
Well, so Elaine was my teacher from 3rd grade into high school. And
Wow.
she taught me, you know, timpani, mallet, snare drum, all the rudiments. And, you know, but the funny thing was I was always a terrible reader until I was about 30. I was like a totally terrible reader.
Get out of here.
Yeah, and so, no, it's true. And I would be at the lesson and I would be like squinting, pretending
Yeah.
like, I think you need glasses.
Yeah.
No, I
You didn't practice. Did you practice it, or you didn't like? You didn't?
Yeah.
You
no, I
tried
would go completely.
trying to bullshit her, right? I just like Jimmy Paxson tells stories about like pulling that
Okay.
stuff off too. Yeah, that's funny. So I'm sorry I interrupted.
No,
So
it's-
you're
She was amazing, and she got me into, you know, all these different people. In the meantime, Steve Wolf was a friend of mine
yeah.
in high school.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
so lucky, man, because I
Drummer.
Krauss went to Lower Marion, Steve Wolf went to Lower Marion.
Yeah.
Later on, Zach Janikian went to Lower Marion,
Yeah, yeah,
who's like one of my 5 favorite musicians in the whole
Yeah.
world.
right.
I just think he's a genius. But
Yeah.
Elaine taught me so much, and she got me into a lot of, you know, real basic fundamentals of being a percussionist. Of course, I became a drummer, you know, like
Yeah.
I ended
Yeah.
up
Right, right.
splits and stuff. But I mean,
I
she
love
was
that.
tremendous.
And her house wasn't far from where I grew up.
Same.
I remember walking up Haverford Road one day, and I think I might have been going to teach a lesson to this kid whose dad was an animation artist who lived basically right next door to her, but for some reason, maybe there was bad blood, I don't know. And I'm walking to his house, and all of a sudden I see this lady in front of her garage with all this drum stuff in the garage.
Wow.
And I'm like, what is going on here? And I went up and I had like a half an hour conversation with her. And I found out who she was. And this was before I knew you, but I knew Jerry Brown because
Yeah.
in school, every school I went to, I took his place in the
Wow.
band.
Wow.
And those were some big shoes to
Oh,
fill.
they're boots.
Let me tell you, man,
Boots.
it
Wow.
was crazy.
Wow.
Everywhere I went. Oh, yeah. Jerry just
Fred,
went to high school.
I think I know who that animator is. It was Phil Fierlinger's dad.
Erlinger, that's it.
Because, you know,
That's it.
he lived at the end of the street, and the first session I ever did was actually on guitar, because he had done a little animation thing for MTV, and he saw me in the alley and he said, "Hey, will you come in and play a little distorted guitar on this?" I was like, "Sure." Like I could play some bar chords.
Yeah.
Played like this 4-chord thing into his Tascam half-inch 8-track.
Oh my God.
Wow. Erlinger, that's who it was.
Do you still play?
Yes.
Do you still play any guitar? Are you?
Yeah, a lot of guitar, a lot of bass, a lot of keys.
Wow. Awesome.
That's what I did on Susan's record that you just heard, except Kevin Hansen played the guitars and Susan acoustic.
Wow.
Right.
Wow. Wow.
Because that whole thing came together, and she called me on December 9th, like last month.
Uh,
I started working on it on the 12th, and it was out on streaming by January 5th, 5 songs.
wow.
Insane.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Because it sounded great. Did you
Amazing.
mix it and do the? How long did you go with that? With the process?
I took it all the way to mixing, and then a guy named Pat DeCenso in Boston mixed it.
Oh, that sounds great.
Right on.
Yeah,
Right on.
he's a great engineer, and I actually didn't really want to mix it.
Yeah.
I hear you.
I mean, to be perfectly honest, I'm about to upgrade my studio, and before I do that, I recorded that whole thing on my G5 Tower from 2006 with a pre-Intel dual-core processor and like a Digi 002 rack. Like, I mean, I'm recording
Oh my
Sounds
God.
Great, man.
until 7.4.
Wow.
Wow.
Man, could you imagine? I mean, listen. So those drum sounds, are you is that all your mic drums, or are you doing any kind of sound replacement? Oh my God, when you get like, because nowadays
Like,
that's awesome. But I'll tell
Wow.
you, like some of the like, I don't know if you ever messed around with any of the Slate stuff or any of the stuff that's in the Apollo. There's some stuff that you can do now that, like, I was a little bit on the fence with it, but they've gotten so good
oh yeah,
that it's amazing. Oh my God, you're going to go crazy with this new thing.
I can't wait. Well, you have to. I think I had to work harder than I do in a studio with a lot. I mean, I have some good outboard gear here, but it's not like, I don't have a Neve console or anything.
Yeah.
Right.
I need to work a little harder, but I look at it like tape.
Yeah.
It's like going to tape. It's like you got to, instead of EQing on the way in, I'll just move a microphone a little bit, hit
Yeah.
it 6 times, get the level right, listen back, tweak,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Nice.
then it's just like one hand on the space bar, like number 3 on the keyboard, 3, 2, cut. You know what I mean? I love it, man.
Sounds
Oh,
great.
that's awesome, man. So where'd you
Sounds great.
learn your engineering chops? Did anybody give you any teaching there, or?
Not really. I mean, I learned it from engineers over the years because I always knew that that's where I was going to eventually end up, is like
Right.
producing and engineering. I mean, playing too. But
Yeah.
when we were in Los Angeles, and we lived in Woodland Hills too, Dave,
Did you really?
with Huffamoose. Yeah, we lived.
Oh,
We lived in a house for 2 months while Kevin and Craig were doing their overdubs for the Dope record.
I lived right.
knew
You know where Winnetka and DeSoto is in Woodland Hills. Do you remember? It was like I remember the In-N-Out Burger was like about a mile up the street.
Wow.
But I was invited to. They had this little cool group called the Woodland Hills Drum Club, and it was my buddy Myron Grumbacher lived in the neighborhood right there. And Myron was one day I'm grabbing a sandwich, a burger sandwich. I'm grabbing a freaking burger, and I ran into Myron, and Myron said, "Oh man, where you living?" I said, "I'm right over there." And he said, "Oh, come! I'm going out tomorrow night. Come with you. I'm going to come introduce you to my friends." And it was like all these like Greg Bissonette and all these great drummers, man. Vinny might have been there. It was like walk into like all these guys, and there were 2 drum sets there. It was really pretty intimidating, but it was pretty cool because they were all, and I think one guy was bogarting the kit or something there, and there's like a famous story where he wouldn't leave the kit. It's pretty funny when you have all that guys like that are so good, so. You mentioned when are you going to go out and play live? When you have any stuff? Because you have some gigs coming up, I believe, right?
I do. I was supposed to play a jazz trio gig with Kevin and Jim on Friday, but it got canceled because of the never-ending pandemic. But I'm playing actually at 118 North at the end of the month with Kevin and Wally Smith.
Oh,
Nice.
Oh, okay.
Because that's the last Sunday of the month, I think.
I'm doing one with Wally, I think, on the 6th of March. Wally's got this revolving thing. Fred, you'll be doing one too.
Yeah, probably.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So, listen, I'm just kind of, I'm supposed to go play in Switzerland, which I wanted to go. I was going to bring my wife Dallin with me, but it was supposed to be like about an 8-day trip. Now it's whittled down to a 5-day trip. It's almost like a hit and run in Luzerne. So it's like anybody that's going to, you guys know, it's like, it's a beautiful place, but most of the time we're going to be half asleep,
Right.
except for the gig. And we're supposed to go March 21st to the 25th. And I got a plane ticket, but I don't know. You know how things are. You don't know if it's if it's going to happen, So, who knows? But we got our cartage stuff, we got our gear and everything there, so everything will be fine. But I'm supposed to do a 7-week tour this summer, starting in June, which is kind of like Fred's my confidant in because I'm turning 66 years old in less than a month, and let me tell you. It's a little different ball game playing like that, especially if you're like rocking away a little bit. So I'm trying to help more conscious about my health I don't drink. I'm into like trying to be like, better about how I live my life, so I can get out and play. You got to think about that stuff, man.
I hear you.
Because I still think like they're going to fire me.
Stop it.
Yeah, but I still think like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I don't know.
Keeps you hungry, man.
I think it's a good attitude in some ways, but listen, I got to tell you, this happened to me a couple years ago. Maybe it's about 5 years ago. We were playing when the Hooters play in Europe. We play to a lot. We get great business over there. I think the week of the show or the day before the show, I think one of the guys, I'm not going to say who, but he said, "Hey, listen, we're gonna play with a click track because it's just the vocal stuff. Like, it's a studio is one thing, but when you get in front of like 10,000 people and you run a click track, and I'm saying, okay, I'll go for it. But
Well,
I
if you haven't practiced that way.
Hey, listen, Fred, I could feel everybody's adrenaline, and it's like they're all like, and I'm like, are you kidding me? That was the hardest tour I ever did, like having to do that. Now I'm used to it because I make them take the click and hear what they're clicking.
Exactly. That's if you're the only one getting it, what's the point?
Yeah, I don't know if you ever had to do that, like during any of your shows. You played a lot of sequencer stuff, right? You have some stuff that makes a big difference. But if you're hearing clack, 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 clack in your ears, and it could be wild. Hey, listen, I want to play something from Hoffamoose.
Okay.
Taylor, can we? Would that be Visitation? Yeah.
Melinda May.
Wow.
I played too.
Yeah.
Wherefore
I love his style, his vocals.
art thou?
Awesome.
Last time we spoke, you'd moved to Florida. You were working at a bank. Making bank.
Wow.
Driving a new car. Melinda Marian.
All right. Oh, that's badass.
Couple of years ago, I saw you at the mall. You looked the same. You seemed pressed for time, and I know that you saw me. I do, and that you
Yeah, buddy.
Nice. That's out there, man. That's real nice.
Great.
I like it.
Beautiful.
It's like you could tell you guys have listened to like Herbie Hancock records and Miles. It's really,
Player ever.
it's really, really great. That's very cool.
That was awesome. And not one fill.
Yeah, that's
I love
ninja.
it. You
That's
were just doing
ninja
that
level.
restart loop thing. Boom.
Yeah.
The kick thing.
Yeah.
Awesome. Beautiful.
That takes so much discipline. Really good. No fill. Just groove it.
Yeah.
Really nice.
You know who's a great example of that is if you listen to the Squeeze tune, Tempted,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
there's never a cymbal
Chad?
crash
Yeah.
until the second pre-chorus.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. It's like
yeah.
White Room. Ginger never plays a cymbal in
Right.
White Room. All
Right.
the fills right back into the hi-hat. I'm wondering if they took his cymbals away because he
Yeah.
played but with Ginger, like no cymbals. But that is that's awesome, man. That's
Yeah, it's
really
great.
that was
Yeah.
fun to make. We did it with a guy named Steve Maglio in Jersey.
Oh, yeah. I know, Steve.
Steve's awesome, and he's a real old friend of Jim.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we recorded the drums. The only drum that had any muffling on it at all, including the bass drum, was the snare. The bass drum was an old
Okay.
lever kit. It was 13, 16, 18,
Oh,
and a 22 by 14, and then my Superphonic.
oh
And
yeah.
The drums
Nice.
completely wide open. The
Wide
bass
open.
wide open with no hole in the front.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Completely closed system. And there was a Telefunken dynamic bass drum mic about 2 feet from the front head.
Yeah.
Then there were overheads. We had little spot tom mics. I don't even think we used them in the mix. And then one big old RCA ribbon in the room.
Wow.
Is that big room? That big room that they and I think they did something with DJ Bone Break over there, right?
Yeah.
Didn't
Yeah.
they? Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So you mentioned a Telefunken mic. Our friend John Anthony has a bunch of those cool.
Oh, nice.
Those are just recorded with him. We're going to be mixing next Friday.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's
Great guy.
he's kind of a legend in Philadelphia with his work over the years. He's really good, knowledgeable, great engineer, great
Great
drummer.
guy. Yeah,
Great
great
drummer.
drummer.
Great drummer.
Great
Listen,
drummer.
I met John. I think I met John through Joey Wilson, Freddie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think those whole days back in, that's like giving away our age.
80s.
We'll talk about
The
that.
80s. The 80s.
Hey, you mentioned Boston. You lived in, you grew up in Boston?
Until I was about 8 years old. And then my dad's an architect. I mean, not practice anymore, but he
Yeah.
got a job here in Philly,
Yeah.
working for, you remember Food Fair, Pantry
Oh,
Pride?
yeah.
Yeah.
He was like their
My
corporate.
first job.
No way. Yeah.
My uncle was a union guy.
Oh,
You
wow.
were- Oh, that union guy, like
Yeah.
my neighbor Steve. I can't mention him. A leg break.
Exactly. So anyway, go ahead. Sorry, Eric.
No, that was it. So we moved to
That's
Philly.
it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
here ever since, but I still have great affinity and love for Boston.
What a great town.
Yeah.
Got up there and played a lot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did too. We used to go up there. There was a place called the Metro there, right by Fenway.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think I played the Paradise before, and then a Rathskeller. I played the Rathskeller. I remember in 1981, and I was playing, and I went and got the ribs there, and I sit next to Roy Thomas Baker and the
Whoa.
drummer from the Cars, and I remember it was like
David
before-
Robinson.
Yeah, and I was like freaking out. I was kind of like, wow, that's the drummer from me and Kuzma, Fred.
Oh, great.
Me and
I love
Kuzma
it.
hanging out, going like, hey, really great. John and I drove up to Boston together, man. And hey, listen, I love it. Did you, Huffamoose, Eric from I got him, the band that you.
Eric Harvitz.
Yes, he's friends with you guys, right?
Oh, yeah.
He's been friends with your singer too, right? He's engineered and done stuff with you.
My first gig in Philly was at Grendel's Lair in
Whoa. Hey
1985.
now.
I was 14, and
What?
we were opening up for Dynagroove. I was playing it
Wow.
with Dave Koba. You guys remember Dave?
Oh yeah.
Um,
Great blues guitar player.
Wow.
Oh yeah,
And his nephew Pat on bass. Well,
Yeah.
Pat probably was like in diapers back
Wow.
he was
Wow.
alive.
then.
Wow. Well, yeah, that's amazing. Hey, I saw Michael Brecker play at the at Grendel's.
Wow.
I love
Nice.
Yeah. And Hal Gelpin.
I saw you play at Grendel's.
I used to play there.
The Hooters.
I used to play every Monday night for about 2 months. I played there. It
Yeah.
was fun. Yeah. It was
Pat
just-
Martino. I used to go
Yeah.
see Pat
Yeah.
every Monday too.
Yeah.
Before you guys.
Eric, do you do? Are you like affiliated with any drum companies and endorsement stuff like that? Do you have? That's a that's where like I when I see drummers that are like really great, like I'm like what? Like sometimes it's like, are you kidding me? Like you play I see you playing Yamaha drums too, right? You have a thing with?
I mean, I never had a thing with them, but my first really nice new drum set was a recording custom kit that I got as a graduation present.
Oh, nice. Those bass drums were incredible.
Yeah, but then I
Remember
sold
those?
the kit and I bought a Maple custom kit with an 18-inch bass drum, and that's what I used on the first Huffamoose record, if you can believe that. It was the only drum set I had. It was 10, 12, 14, 18. And
You have the 10, yeah, like the little the 3 up here, and then the 1, 10, 12.
I had 2 up
Yeah.
here, and eventually
Yeah.
I put them over so I could put my ride cymbal like in the 4-piece position.
Wow.
Nice.
But now I play almost all Gretsch drums.
Oh, cool.
Not expensive either. Like I
Yeah,
have
they're making great drums. Those
Oh.
guys,
this little bebop kit.
Yeah.
And it's just awesome. It sounds.
I got a couple of their older kits. I'm gonna probably start getting rid of some stuff, but I got a bunch of drums that I like, that I collected over the years. I love going. There's a place called Pocket Percussion, who is a company that like I love. My friend Keith, he's my go-to guy if I need something like. I can't fix this. I can't fix it on my own. I go, Keith, and it's in there 1 minute. He'll fix a pedal, do anything. He's really, really good.
I've heard you talk about him at the beginning.
You should. They just opened up let's do a road trip down there. We'll all meet down there.
Little
Grab
Gretsch.
some lunch. Yeah, it's right. It's got a new shop there, and the old place was in Doylestown, but this place is fantastic, man. And he's got he's got old drums, and he's getting a bunch of some new stuff. But it's not like you're going into Sam Ash or the Guitar Center or anything like that. It's like the old school places,
Right on.
So,
He's one of your sponsors too, right?
yeah. He pitches.
Plug.
He's he's great. And hey, so before I do want to play. It's Visitations from the Fractals.
It's Ben Schachter.
Ben Schachter.
Yeah,
And
Ben is like.
Tell me about Ben.
Ben was graduate school for me, basically. I had just come off the road with Huffamoose, and a month later, I hadn't played any jazz in 6 years. And he called me and he said, "Hey, I'm putting together a trio. Would you like to play?" And I said, "Sure." And I got off the phone and my heart was like, because I thought, "Oh my God, what am I going to do?"
Yeah.
So I set up my little bebop kit, and Lynn and I, my wife, we had a little apartment in Havertown, a 1-bedroom apartment that was like the size of a postage stamp. And I figured the only way I'm going to get away with playing drums here is if I play super quiet. So what I did was I would put on like
practice.
my favorite jazz records at like a listening level that wouldn't bother anybody, and I would practice underneath that volume, and that's how I got
Nice.
jazz touch back.
Wow. Yeah, well, I saw you play. It might have been around my birthday, but Dal and I were at dinner, and you were playing. Oh God, who was playing bass that day? Oh my God, play with Ray Charles. Not Ray Charles. Yeah, play with Ray
Steve
Charles.
Bestcrone.
Bestcrone.
Yep.
And man, you guys were great. Remember, you were like playing like just your feel. It was fantastic, man. That's great.
Can I tell 2 really quick stories? One about each of you guys.
Oh boy.
Oh,
Yeah.
here we go.
I'll start with the Dave story. No, this is it's good. So I was a huge Hooters fan.
Oh, thank you.
And the record Amore was like my favorite record when I was in about 8th grade.
Wow.
So-
Oh man.
Grade, I was in a band with a couple of guys. And do you remember Iota? Like Iota?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Well, her name was Marissa back then. We had a band in 9th grade, and we played Amore. We covered it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, man, you ever record it?
Oh God, no! I mean, there's
man.
an Maxell cassette somewhere. You know?
Wow, that's all right. That's awesome, man. Well, I love that, man. That was a fun record to do.
Oh, I still listen to that record. I think it's a great record.
Thank you.
But later on, in high school, you guys had a contest with WMMR.
Yeah, School Spirit.
Yeah, and so I spearheaded the campaign to get all the postcards written.
Get out of here, man. Wow.
And lost by like some small amount to like either Archbishop Carroll or Radnor or something.
Wow.
I'm so bummed because I mean we would spend our entire lunch breaks writing out these postcards.
Oh man, and we never came to your school?
Nah, but I saw it like 5 times at the Mann Music Center that summer.
Oh wow.
Opening up the Go-Go's and
in excess.
In excess. I was at all.
Oh, that's a good show.
That was a great show. I'll tell you, I love that drummer, John Ferris, because I got to be,
he was great. Great drummer.
Got to be good friends with him. He had a company. All those Australian cats. Like I don't know if you ever checked out Midnight Oil.
Yes.
Rob Hurst.
Oh yeah.
Rob Hurst. He played this little Ludwig kit, and he had these barrels of oil. He would play. And that was just another thing he would play on. And man, what a drummer! Glyn Johns would do their records, and the drums on those records sound amazing.
Oh, yeah, they're great.
Well, I want to hear the Freddie story. That's really nice. I'm touched by that.
Oh man,
real good. I'll tell the guys.
Shoot.
Yeah.
So Freddie, for me, like Freddie, you're like in the pantheon of greats of like, Ziggy from the Meters and Charlie Watts and like all the guys that have like that voodoo. And the first time I ever heard you play Freddie was at the Rusty Nail.
Oh boy.
And oh man, well, I'm sure we were both in bad shape that night. That was
yeah.
So, but I walked in and I heard this groove and it was like I was taken out of my body. It was like that in between that was like a little swung, like the NRBQ kind of vibe.
Oh, Tommy. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Wow.
It was like, oh my God, what is this? Because like I was playing all this crazy jazz stuff, but it was starting to not mean as much to me as like just like the slinky voodoo pocket, like what is that in between? And I was just so blown away. Like I thought I didn't even want to play because it was when Eric was at Subterranean whatever thing at the Rusty Nail and he would set up all this furniture. It was such a great hang.
Oh,
wait, was I playing with Tommy Comwell that night? Who was I playing with?
I don't even remember because I don't think I even noticed anybody else. I was so fixed.
Oh, that's great.
Wow.
That's
it really
great.
changed my life. It was like, wow, I got to start thinking about how, like, what's my right hand doing? Because it was just going.
Yeah.
Right.
How you play the hi-hat.
It was slinky. You know what I mean? It had this kind of like.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was so cool.
It's interesting that you bring that up about your right hand because yesterday, Freddie, I did this session yesterday, and I bring my cymbals with me, especially, and I bring a pedal and I bring a snare just in case. But I got up and there were these. I have I got Zildjian. They've been a great company that I've been associated with, and I got 14s, 15s. I got a pair of 16s that are really cool because they kind of like. I love that, but I don't have a set of 13s anymore. And there's that great set of 13s in Elm. They're just thin, and they are almost like, hey, man, you're right, and it makes you think, and it's just like they're amazing. I mean, matter of fact, today I got to contact those guys. I'm either going to swap a set I have or just buy a set from them, because they were just freaking great. But like there's so many great companies, Minell. Hey, by the way, you were working at Gradwell, right?
Yeah.
Did you try those Minell cymbals that they have, those hi-hats?
Hats. I use them every time I'm there. I played on Winkle's record.
Right.
Van Winkle. And there, and I said, what the hell are these hi-hats?
Right.
They're incredible.
Nice.
They're dry, but they're crispy, but they're trashy, but not too trashy.
Yeah.
Oh, they're amazing. Those are like the stuff of legend.
Yeah. I'm telling you, those hats. I walked in, I was gonna put mine up, and I go, "What are these?" And I just hit it. I went, "Oh, wow!" That's great. That's great. Hey, we didn't play? Listen, we're getting near to visitation. Can we pop that up there? My man Taylor? You got that? Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Wow. Wow. Wow, that's nice.
Yeah, baby.
Wow, that's badass. Wow, what BPM is that? That's fast. Ah,
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
wow, that's awesome. That's great.
Like
That is.
player.
Where did you do that?
Oh man, it was a studio in North Jersey. It
Wow.
was like a jazz kind of spot.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
that is playing. That's marvelous, man. Really great.
Woo.
I don't think I could do that right now because I was
Yeah, you gotta.
so
You gotta
much.
yeah,
That was like
Yeah.
20 years ago.
yeah. It's
And I
beautiful.
was just like, and also we were playing 4 or 5 times a month with that trio.
Yeah.
We had
Yeah.
Tim
Who's baby?
Egan playing, and Gary Bartz played on that record,
Whoa.
and Jeff
Yeah.
Lee Johnson, who was
Oh wow.
biggest.
Yeah.
Who played bass?
Micah Jones.
Oh,
Oh.
right on.
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah, his son.
Huh?
Doesn't he have a
Oh
son?
no, you're thinking of Mike Boone.
Oh, okay, Mike Boone, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
His son.
I played a lot of gigs with Mike Boone. I've been lucky, man. I got to play with all these great bass players in Philly who like
Wow.
Mike Boone really schooled me.
Yeah.
Played about 1,000 gigs together, and a lot of them
Wow.
were weddings, if you can believe
Wow.
it.
Yeah.
And man, playing, it was really lucky. And I get to play with Chico Huff and Bess Grum, my man Stager.
Dager. I
And
was
then,
gonna
like-
say on that Huppamoose song, he's just, and I've done a bunch of sessions and live gigs with Jim. He like locks it down, man. You don't have to worry about where it is.
He's
You know where it is.
Yeah.
when we played,
Wow.
it's just like old
Wow.
shoes.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, so all good things have to come to an end. And I listen, man. I thank you for coming.
Yeah.
You know?
Thank you.
It was a real honor to have you on. You're doing
Yeah,
such
buddy.
great playing. Just keep it up and listen. Fred and I were meeting up for lunch. Before this whole thing happened, sometimes a little diner. We'd find a place. You got to come hang with us and
Oh,
Yeah.
just have a.
I'm
you
there.
know, he orders something healthy, and I get like double order of potatoes, and I'm still a pig when it comes to eating. I got to get
Little
better.
nosh.
Indeed. Hey, listen, but thank you. I'm an honor that you came on the podcast, and you're doing beautiful work,
Yeah, man.
and keep on, doing the great work, and I wish you all the best. Freddie, you're my man. Thank you, brother.
Brother from another.
Yeah, man.
Brother.
All
Both of
right.
you.
We
God.
hope we'll get to work and get all the good stuff happening. Okay, Taylor, I want to thank our sponsors, School of Rock, Dave Marsh, Rick Allison, Kroger Percussion. It's Eric Metz. I want to thank Keith over there at the Pocket Percussion. You got to go check him out, man. That's on Willow Grove. I don't have the address in front of me, but he just moved. Pocket Percussion is killer. And listen, From In the Pocket, I will say, have a great afternoon. Thank you. See you next time. All right?